Okay, so welcome again to the afternoon session now. I've got three guests in this session, and I'm proudly to welcome Mr. Mogamad Fuad Nordin, that's this and Patrick Martinus from the city of Cape Town, and Alexander Turnwald from the CBS International Business School. Will you take seat over there? No, you want to listen to the first presentation. That's good, yes. So, I don't want to talk too much, but just giving you a short introduction. I've prepared three questions for the afternoon sessions, and we should discuss it later. First, what are the benefits for the company? So we are talking about the employers here, not the employees, but the employers now. What is the benefit for the companies? Who are the target groups? Is it industry? Is it small and medium-sized enterprise, or only the big ones? Is it public administration or public authorities or whatever else? And third, what resources and competences are needed in this employers surrounding? But first, I want to start, and I stopped with this question when they explained me what they want to present us. My first questions would have been City of Cape Town. City of Cape Town. Why is the City of Cape Town involved in higher education, in students, in institutions? Normally a city is responsible for the traffic, for buildings, for water and electricity. But why do higher education and students? Please explain us first.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. The name is Patrick Martinez. I am from Corporate Services Directorate, Human Resources Department. Thank you, Program Director, for the welcome. And thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to be part of this conference. To answer your question, in terms of our constitutional mandate, as the municipality, we need to provide quality basic services to the residents of Cape Town. That's what we stand for. Over and above that, we need to look at our human capital, which is our employees. Those are the machinery behind service delivery. We need to ensure that we capacitate them, to ensure that they are competent, highly skilled, qualified in order to meet the demands of our residents. That is one in answering your question. Then we've got an obligation once again to look after the communities. We need to provide training opportunities to the youth of Cape Town. Issues that talks to learnerships, apprenticeship programs, external financial support, graduate internship programs, job shadowing. All those will assist us because remember, we are creating a pipeline. The reality is, we've got an aging staff. Myself and Ufuat will retire in 5 years' time. So in terms of succession planning, we should bring about the talent that is coming through from university. They need to come and add value in the workplace. That one is very important. I was just answering you, Program Director, before I proceed with my presentation. Are you covered? Let's move. As the City of Cape Town, we pride ourselves as a collaborative and a capable city government. So this partnership that is happening, that we are doing, we welcome and appreciate it. because it affords us an opportunity of gaining insights. What was shared here in the first session and the second session, so critical to the kind of work that we are doing at the City of Cape Town, at corporate level. We stand to influence our colleagues. We are a massive organization, over 40,000 staff. We are a massive organization. So we need to ensure each and everyone gets capacitated. So without wasting time, in terms of our outline of our presentation, I'll just briefly talk about the strategy of training and development, objectives of graduates and student programs, and categories of student programs. Then my colleague Ufuat will touch on how do you apply. Let's share success stories in terms of our student programs. What have we done in the past 5 years? And lessons learned, what is very critical, lessons learned in managing student programs. I think that is the key in our presentation. And we have some recommendations. In terms of our strategy, at the City of Cape Town, we take training and development very serious. And we are committed to skills development. And we adhere to legislation that governs skills development in South Africa, such as Skills Development Act, SAQA Act, and Skills Levies Act. So our strategy, what is very important, we've got a strategic document called the Integrated Development Plan, the IDP. That one. It's a 5-year plan. That is a strategic implementation instrument that sets the tone for the 5 years in terms of projects, programs that we are rolling out as a municipality. So the community can look to us and say, you didn't deliver. So we align our training and development to the IDP priority number 1, which is economic growth. And the city supports faster economic growth that enables people to lift themselves out of poverty. That one is very key. And we believe that education and training is a key enabler in changing lives and eradicating poverty through education. That's very important to us. And we maximize training opportunities for both internal and external candidates to the improvement of the overall skills within Western Cape. That is our business. That one is very key. That will also address to lower the unemployment rate within Western Cape. And we believe the graduate programs that we're rolling out will be a catalyst in providing learning and job opportunities to our graduates coming out of university. They will come and contribute to the organization. This is our overarching objectives of our students and graduates programs. Ours is to create structured approach to empower youth entering workplace and equipping students in the world of work by providing practical exposure to real life situations, work experience, on-the-job training, coaching and mentoring. The bigger picture is to ensure that come end of their programs, they become employable. It's about touching lives and making difference to our graduates and students. We've got various categories of student programs tailored to the needs of students for respective programs. We've got apprenticeship programs. That's a 3-year program. Technical training in relation to practical and theoretical training for that designated trade. Currently in the system, we've got about 190 apprenticeships. They are doing trade test preparation now. So we're looking forward to having artisans before end of June. That's the bigger plan. That will contribute to the skill shortages of Western Cape. We're rolling out learnerships, period of 12 months to 18 months, and also a massive project which is supported by our leadership. External financial support, those are bursaries that we always give on an annual basis to the community. So the students that are coming out from high schools, so we invite them to apply for bursaries, and we paid for their studies, tuition fees, transport allowance, accommodation, through the duration of their qualification. And they enter into a service obligation. That's where now, after graduating, they come to the city of Cape Town. Remember, return on investment. I said we're creating a pipeline. So we're making huge investments. So we are going to mentor, train them when they are qualified, so that we are able to create employment opportunities for them while they are working with us in service obligation. Graduate internship programs from 6 months to 36 months. Big one that we are rolling out, it's the infrastructure grant program funded by National Treasury. National Treasury is supporting all the municipalities in terms of infrastructure development in disciplines such as built environment, engineering, and also natural science. So huge investment from National Treasury. So we give them 3-year contracts. And they work with professionally registered mentors. And they will also be rolled in terms of professional registration. Within that 3 years, they need to be professionally registered by relevant statutory councils, such as AGSA, which is Engineering Council of South Africa. We also have urban sustainability internship programs, USAP. My colleague is spearheading that one. In the system, we've got about 50 that we've inducted in Feb. We also have work integrated learning, your in-service training, and student programs, vocational programs, job shadowing for the matriculants also. They get that opportunity in terms of getting that exposure, just to give them a field work experience and field workers. I will pause for now and just give to my colleague Ufuat, who will be taking us through in terms of the application process. What are the success stories of our programs, lessons learned in managing our student programs, and what are the recommendations? I thank you.
Thank you, Pat. So the lessons that we've learned as managing the student programs is a few things that we take note of. The transition, specifically for a student coming to an organization, that transition from student environment into the work environment. A lot of times then you look at a student coming in there wearing khakis and a t-shirt and so on, and he's in a professional environment. Hence the reason that's where we do the induction with those students and dress code and even how they should behave as well in the organization. We have graduate students, that's placements in the department for exposure. Like when we get a student from maybe an HR student coming into our department as an HR student, there is different sectors or sections within the HR department of disciplines. We then get that person and say, you come into the HR department, then you need to get exposure either at a 3 months or a 4 months exposure, in IR, occupational health and safety, in training and development. So we expose them to that. But that's also where we require the institutions to come on board and saying, you know what, this is what I require the students to be exposed at. And a lot of placements that gets done by us for the students, where there is placement officers, they lack that, giving us that resources and saying, these are the exposures that is required for this person to have the qualification. Our subject matter experts that are currently in the Education, Training and Development Department, they use their own initiative in saying, these are the exposure that we think this HR student should be exposed to. And that's what we are trying to do. We're getting it, we're not getting it 100% correctly. We are almost there, right? And then also the monitoring of the graduates and the students. Because you need to have a student that comes to an organization and there needs to be a mentor that's assigned to him. And as I spoke in the lunch break, I said that mentor should be assigned to that person, and it needs to be as an KPI that's in his performance, so that that person can say, you know what, I am that person's mentor. I need to look after that person, take that person by the hand, and where there is questions that gets raised, that mentor, and most of our mentors are registered, right? And there is a list of them. Managing the mentoring of, like we had a problem with this, and guys, we as the City of Cape Town, we can honestly say, when we had this COVID-19 coming into place, it was a game changer for us. Because we have students that is sitting at home. These students doesn't have the necessary equipment. Let's say a laptop, they don't have a laptop, they don't have access to PCs. So how do we accommodate them? How do we get the funding to get these people the resources to actually work during the day? The City of Cape Town made even an informed decision in saying, these are contractual staff, these are people that are students, as well as our permanent staff. Some of them stayed at home for 7 months. And we know our neighbors. We know our friends. We know our colleagues that worked. And specifically in my neighbor, he had to work on short time, only 2 days, 3 days. He got paid only like, you know, I can't give you the full salary because he worked for the private. Our students and our permanent staff members were paid in full for that 7 months because it's our responsibility. They have a contract with us. We need to look at it. And hence the reason with the COVID-19, we then implemented and say, we need to go back to the drawing board and make sure that these people have the correct equipment so that they can work from home. Even with laptops, providing them laptops, providing them the airtime, providing them access, as well as even as far as cell phones as well, saying, please, if you don't have a laptop, please, you clock in via your cell phone to your relevant line manager so that he knows where you are or what you are doing, right? And then also we also looked at the budget regarding the work resources allocation, as I said, and then as well the training and development for graduates and for students. When a student comes to our organization, we have a tender in place. Patrick is dealing with the tender. We have a service provider, and that service provider will look after that student in saying, these are the training programs that's assigned for all of these students that they will be going on. Because what we've picked up is that a person sits with a graduate, you sit with a person with an honors qualification, he walks into an interview, and that person cannot actually handle himself in an interview. So interview skills is one of the top things that we put in there in saying, you need to go for interview skills, go and understand what your dress code is, how you articulate yourself in selling yourself, being accepted for the position that you've applied for. Then the other part is the mentoring and evaluation. We always say there is a lack. This is something that we say mentoring and evaluation should be in place. If you cannot measure it, what's the use of doing it? So the measuring needs to be in place. Stakeholder engagement at university levels. Please, guys, I cannot emphasize more on what my colleague is saying. Universities, technicon students, this is the platform where you need to raise it, where you need collaboration between yourselves. Because we have in our case, we have a student coming and applying for a bursary. He gets the bursary in his first year, second year. He does the qualification. He moves over saying, I'm changing to in the other institution. When he moves from the one institution to the other institution, the qualification says, no, that qualification or that modules that you've done is not accredited. So that's the time where you guys need to speak to one another. We're just giving the support to those students financially. We give the support as the mentor, but the qualification, that's your baby. You need to look at the qualification. Speak to SAQA. Speak to the powers that be so that you can collaborate in getting that correct. Okay? Next one will be the success of our programs. So now I need to emphasize this. If you look at the totals currently in the City of Cape Town, through the Human Resource and Training and Development Department, 535 active students currently within the city. That's a big total. And then the City of Cape Town has also employed 106 ISDG students. And out of that 106, we have given 46 out of them permanent positions. And then we did just on our SAP system of where we can draw the reports of saying, we have a LSO SAP system that can draw. If Fuad has attended training 20 years ago, the system will pick up which service provider. The system will even tell what training he went on all the training interventions that he went on. So with that system that we had in place, we could go back to 5 years in saying, how many students in the city of Cape Town created opportunities? 4,246 interns that we created opportunities for them. And out of that, more than half, 2,374 of those students are currently working within the city of Cape Town. So we're doing something right. Something is being done right within the city of Cape Town. The application for our student programs, a lot of students don't know this, and a lot of people out there don't know it, and we advertise it and we keep on emphasizing it. Please spread the word out there. If a student wants to come onto the program, it's by a click of a button. 90% of the people is sitting with a cell phone today. They can just click on that cell phone and say Job Jack, and they can register. It's an assessment form, just a small assessment of saying, you know what, I'm in the electrical field, I'm in the human resource field, I'm in this field, and that job at least can guide us on what direction or what place we can place that person for the position. There's the skills program as well. There's as well the work integrated learning. They can actually go on Job Jack for that as well. And alternatively, they can register on the City of Cape Town website if they want to. Then we have also, if you have a query and you are currently on the system and you've been waiting maybe for 6 months, 8 months, or 12 months, and you haven't heard anything about the City of Cape Town, requesting for your CV or requesting for you to come in for an interview, there's the Student Opportunity City of Cape Town website, which 3 people are managing for us. If there's any queries, we will go back into the system and find out where is your registration, what did you do wrong, or what do you need guidance into registering yourself onto that database. Thank you. That's all from us. And then what I need to say is we in the City of Cape Town, what we are doing, I don't know what miracle or what matajala we're putting on it. We're doing something right. We are the best run city, and a lot of provincial government people come to the City of Cape Town and say, you guys, your policies, your procedures, your standard operating procedures that you've got in the City of Cape Town, thumbs up for that. And I thank you for listening to us and giving us opportunity and the platform to can share our knowledge within our programs that we have within the City of Cape Town. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you, Fuad. Thank you, Patrick. Some questions just for understanding. The discussion will start later. Where is the back? On the left side.
Okay. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for your presentations and for the fire that I hear in your heads and your hearts and your voices to lift up our city even more. You mentioned a few areas where you focus, and I didn't hear the field of food science and technology. So that's what I want to point out to you. Mm-hmm. Can you imagine what will happen to our city, to our country, to our continent, to our world? Mm-hmm. A, if there's no such thing as food safety, and B, if there's no food.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
I think we need to talk about
yes.
our field of practice being one of your foci.
Yes, most definitely. We're looking forward to that. We're very much open to collaborate with all the stakeholders out there. We have got a very much open door policy in saying if you see there's something missing and there's a niche or there's a lack, please, we are open door. Come and sit around the table. We collaborate. We work out something. As I also said, in the City of Cape Town, we do have quite a large budget that we are using for our development of our students and our staff. So please, that's the time where you guys come in with collaboration, and then we can do something about it. Thank you.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay, I think.
Thank you very much for the great presentation of what you do. I think you're doing excellent work. What I didn't hear is, what are your graduates who've gone through this program saying about the program? Is there any data that talks about how this program has made them grow and all that?
Okay. I'll hand over to Patrick, and he will just...
Okay, part of what we are doing in terms of getting feedback and their experience is important. 2 days ago, I was speaking to Fuad to say that part of the recommendations in our process that talks to monitoring and evaluation of our programs, we need to do an online survey that will go to them so that we can gauge and measure their experience. That one is critical. It will assist us in improving the programs. So what we are doing, when it's coming to an end of your contract, we have a big session with mentors, and we do exit interviews with each and every graduate. So that one is very important. That's where we can depict if we have met the graduates' expectations. And our exit strategy also talks about finding employment not only in the city of Cape Town, but outside. And we partner with that service provider that we've contracted in terms of ensuring that if we cannot absorb graduates, we look for opportunities outside in partnership with the service provider. Thanks.
The question, so what happens with the other half of the students you're not employing? So from the numbers of Cape Town, I guess it was around about 50%.
Yeah, it's about 50%.
Employed, and the other ones?
Okay.
You said you want to provide services.
Yes,
For who?
We would love to employ most of those students. But as some of those students are actually missing the cut in regards to that. When a student comes to the organization, the student comes to the organization just to get exposure. I always say it's a win-win situation for the city of Cape Town, because I always say when you are going away from the city of Cape Town after 18 months or after 12 months, you can then add that into your CV where you say, I've been exposed into the planning and building development department. That's a sales pitch where you go to the next organization where you can apply for a position and say, I've been exposed to finance, I've been exposed to HR, I've worked on a project, I've done time management, I've done this. This is where we give them the accolades and say, please, a reference letter also will be given to you in saying, this you can take forward and add it to your CV.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Okay.
To the time.
Is that fine?
Okay, that's fine. That's great.
Thank you.
Just in time. So,
sorry,
is there one more question?
Oh, he's away.
Just one quick question. Congratulations, gentlemen, with your wonderful efforts and what you're achieving. It's wonderful to hear about the mentors in the program, because as we've heard today, the mentors are going to play an extremely important role with the dual program.
That's good.
Is there any specific need for training for them, or are you happy with where they find themselves at the moment?
Patrick.
Very important question. I think mentorship is very key in this process. That's why part of the tender, there is a component for capacity building for mentors. I've got mentees that are reporting to me. There's a coaching and mentoring training, 3-day training that I need to attend. And it addresses the specific different needs for each graduate and students. They've got different needs. In terms of experiential learning in-service training, you're getting a letter from the institution. We need to understand, the mentor need to understand what it is that I need to expose you in, so that will enable you to get your qualification. So those sessions are very important and are specific to the mentors in terms of which category of students are you mentoring. So we've got that. Thank you.
All right. Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you also for giving us the opportunity to share with you some experience from Germany. Let me say some words also on CBS International Business School. We are a private university in Germany. Our headquarters is in Cologne. And yeah, I think we have some experience, at least 20 years of experience in implementing dual study programs in Germany. We are, I would say, one of the few German universities who will also implement dual study programs in English, or maybe also on an international level in the future. We've been in touch with the colleagues from Czech since around 6 months. And I think since then we developed a very close collaboration and productive collaboration, I would say. What we want to share with you today is some aspects on how we organize the dual study program in Germany. Also, what could be incentives for employers, because we know also in Germany that is also always an issue when we're talking about the dual programs. Okay, so I'm starting with the last question. What are the incentives for employers? This is always a big discussion, because also in Germany you have to give reason why not only companies but also the public sector should employ in students of dual study programs. Actually, I would say the answer is quite simple. We have a high skills shortage in Germany, and the current situation is the most costly way what we can have. So there should be another situation where we have skilled workforces and more skilled workforces in Germany. So there's no other opportunity than investing in the skill development of young talents or also professionals. It is, on the other hand, also less costly when you train your own staff instead of external recruiting, for example. There are some studies. You can't see the slides, unfortunately, at the moment. Yeah. All right. Yeah, that's what I said. There's also a study. You will see later on the references here. There's unfortunately only a few information published in English in Germany. There's a lot of information on all the issues in German language. But there's one reader of the OECD, for example. They are doing some research on all these aspects, on the cost of dual programs, the return of investment, and all these aspects. They also found out that the costs are much higher of external recruiting compared to train your own staff in ways such as the dual study program is doing. On the other hand, of course, you have, let's call it a customized skills development, which is really fitting to the needs of your organization. I think this is also one of the biggest advantages of the dual study programs, because we have this close collaboration between the university and the employers. And this is on all levels. We can discuss that also later. What is also very interesting is to see that the retention rate of graduates in the dual system is more than 80% after graduation, and I think this is quite high. Yeah, I think that's a really strong advantage. And on the other hand, the identification of the students with the employers is usually very high, at least at the end of the study program. So that also leads to this high retention rate on the one hand, but also German employers do marketing with training students, for example. It becomes also an image campaign by the German Chamber, for example, that companies can just show that they are training students in the dual system on a TVET level, but also in the higher education. So you definitely have also a competitive advantage, especially in a market where there's a shortage of skilled workers. It's a big competition to get them, and I think the dual program is a way of getting this competitive advantage on the labor market. And what is also important, all right, thank you. It's quite usual in Germany that the companies are covering the full tuition fees and they also pay a certain salary on top. But in other contexts, you might also introduce a cost-sharing model, and I think this assures also mutual reliability from both sides. So there is a commitment from the student as well as from the employers at the same time. This looks a little bit, well, maybe complicated, but it's not. It's a very simplified model of the net productivity of dual students, and it's very simplified, and it's an ideal model. Let's call it like this. So, what is the experience in the dual system with the students, which is implemented since the 1970s in Germany? The experience is that on the one hand, the employability of the students raises during the study program. So also to my personal experience when I did a vocational training in the dual system is that at least in the third year of my vocational training or in the second year, you are almost 100% employed, have a level of employability. So you already have a responsible task in your company which you can fulfill. So that's also an advantage of the employers. I think compared to internships. Internships, they have a certain time in the company, they learn the company, but usually they don't do any high-skilled tasks. Yeah? And this is different in a dual study program, at least in this kind of model, that you have your investment, that you pay a salary or tuition fees or both on a very constant level during the full 2, 3, or 4 years. But the productivity of the student is increasing during that time, and this is why it makes it also interesting from a financial perspective, among others. Of course, in the very beginning, the supervision of the students is very intensive, and it has to be. There has to be a close supervision, but from time to time the student becomes more independent, an independent worker. So also the intensivity and the need for supervision decreases during the study program, and in the end, after graduation, you are having a really fully skilled worker who is completely familiar with all your processes, with your products, with everything related to the employer. This is just an idea on the subjects that are taught in the dual education system on a higher education level and vocational level in Germany. So their business management and engineering are absolutely the biggest subject which are taught in the dual system, but also information technology and social services, health and education is very important. Education here means mainly on the primary level, kindergarten, basic education, but especially kindergarten. Yeah. The 6% are remaining areas, yeah. But I think the strongest engagement of employers is within the engineering and business management area. But also the public sector is very much engaged in the dual system as well in Germany. How does it work at CBS to find the right students and to do the matchmaking between the student, the employer, but also the CBS as the university? We have actually two ways to get the students The first way is that a student sends his application to CBS. We have also job vacancies on our websites and also linked to our employers who are seeking for students, for example. So there will be an assessment. The academic pre-qualification is assessed, and once this is successful, the students can do the next step in that process. So CBS is checking the formal and academic requirements for the study program. And once this is successful, the students are prepared for business. We have a program which is called like this, and this program is actually to make the students fit for getting in touch with the employer, for doing interview trainings and things like that. And in the end, the company or the employer is selecting the students based on this assessment and the interviews. So usually it adds up with a contract, with an employment contract, if the process is done or has been gone through successfully. There's a second way, actually, coming from the other side, that the companies are sending, not only students, because there might be not only students, they're sending professionals with professional background and experience already, or completely young persons without the professional experience. They do some interview, they are hiring them, and they're giving them the opportunity to become a dual student. So those students are sent from the company or from the employer to the university CBS, and we are checking then also the formal requirements. They do their, let's call it academic assessment and the entry qualification, and if this is successful, it also ends up with a contract between university, the student, and also the employer. So there are actually two ways we are implementing how to recruit students and to get them into the system. At the moment, we are implementing two different time models in our dual study programs in Germany. One is the block model, that's how we call it. There's a certain time and period at the university, but also the same time in the company or in the organization. Here we have 3 months as an example, but of course, it can be different. It can be also different maybe in South Africa. Yeah, that's why the feedback also from you as potential employers is so important. That we know or that we get to know the needs and the models that could work maybe in South Africa, and also what is maybe according to your needs. In Germany, we also have included a semester abroad in the 5th semester, but I think this is how we do it in Germany. It can be different and organized in South Africa at the same time. There's a second model, what we call a 2+3 model. That means the students are 2 days in the university on our campus and 3 days working in the company. So there's always a change between the 2 and the 3 days, and this is quite popular with our employers. But I think this only works when you have the students and the employers close to the campus. Yeah, we know that South Africa is a very huge, a very big country with big distances. It might be somehow difficult to implement that as long as the companies are not, or the employers are not close to the campus. So what are the benefits for the partners? To sum up, you will definitely get the graduates with the qualification and skills, what you are looking for. Usually the students have a strong relationship and identification with their employers, what leads to a high retention rate, and I think that's in the interest of the employer in the end. You have a high company knowledge, so the students are well familiar with all the processes, with the products, with the business of the company. You have experienced students already. They don't start from zero. Yeah, they are fully skilled. You have, I think, a very effective recruitment tool, at least to get students or skilled workers in the future. You can use that for marketing purposes as well. And if those students are also sent out to the world, they will maybe work also in other countries or in branches in other countries, so they can also create a human resources network in the end. There were some just insights on some aspects of our dual study programs in Germany, and what we also try to find out, how, together with our colleagues from Czech, how could the dual study program work in the South African context. And that's why also we are here for. We are sharing experiences with our colleagues from Czech on all the issues. We provide knowledge transfer on both sides. And we are also here for establishing partnerships with South African partners to implement the dual study programs and to support also to get the pilot programs on track for the future. And this is more or less also our role here, why we are here. And as I said, we are doing this for 6 months. We have started that, but still we need, I think, a lot more information and a lot more experience in the South African context. But we are very interested, also and curious to learn more from you on what you think, how that could work here in South Africa.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Alexander. Before I ask for more questions, I would like to follow up the questions from Dr. van Zyl regarding the supervision of students in the companies. What are the requirements to the companies for supervising students? A very important fact.
Indeed, that's always an important point. As I said, we have to make sure that the university knows what the students are doing in the organization or at the employer, but also vice versa. And that's why we have in-company training guidelines, for example, and also in the curriculum it is very clear what should be achieved on the employer side, but also on the university side. In the dual education system in Germany, for example, you have always in-company trainers who are supervising the students. They also make a training, they make a license to become a trainer and an in-company trainer. And it's very important that the university is assuring a close harmonization with the activities in the company, but also with the supervisors, the in-company trainers. And I think what is really worth mentioning is that those in-company trainers are not only just contact points, but also when it comes to curriculum development, the employers are also involved in the curriculum development to assure the labor market relevance of our curricula.
But the decision is made by the university.
Yes, of course, in the end, yeah. But yes and no, because one aspect of the accreditation is that the employers are involved in the curriculum development. And this is what you have to show to the accreditation agency.
Okay, questions from the audience?
May I ask the training, is it in person, virtually, or blended?
Yeah. In Germany we have a hybrid model. Yeah, we have classroom training, of course. So we're actually following a blended learning approach. We have a classroom training and a certain percentage of online training. We are not allowed to do 100% online training because in that case we would have need an accreditation as a distance learning university, and this is not our model. Yeah.
Thanks. Thank you very much for the presenters in this session. For me, it was illuminating, I must say, listening also particularly to the city of Cape Town and the huge amount of training happening there, and I also know that this is the case with the Western Cape government. And there is a mismatch at the moment between what universities deliver as graduates and what the needs are in these two sectors, which are major employers in the region. The employment will exceed 100,000 people, more than 100,000 people between the government of Western Cape and the city of Cape Town. So part of the outcome I see of our discussions here, tapping into the experience that we have already learned a lot from CBS, is to get that alignment. To say, how do we optimize on our resources, and how do we get the alignment to take the city forward? But it will not only be the city, it will be the whole region, in fact, and also the Western Cape government. Of course, there are other companies and industries, private sector, that we will contact and that this model could be applied to. But the scale here, in terms of the city of Cape Town and the scale in the Western Cape government, I think exceeds any company or industry collaboration. And it would be easier to organize. If you think of the logistics, you have 10, say, internships at a company and you have 1,000 in the city, it will take the same amount of effort to organize that. But so I just wanted to make those comments that I really think there's a major opportunity here for the dual higher education program.
Yeah. It's maybe also worth mentioning that the employment rate of our graduates is 95%. And this is only possible because of the integration of the employers in the whole process. We have, I think, 3,500 students. I don't know the exact number of our dual students. How much is that? 1,500 dual students at the same time. And I guess it's growing, isn't it? Yeah.
Thanks, Alex. I just want to get a sense of what sectors in your experience has it been most complex to roll this kind of model out in. And you mentioned earlier that you do an academic assessment. I'm just keen to know if you also do any risk assessment, and if so, what aspects you cover.
I'm not that expert in that assessment, but I think Jonas and Uwe, my colleagues, they are much more in that particular topic. Yeah. So could you give us some idea about this assessment?
Yes, I'm happy to do so. My name is Uwe Bloos. I didn't introduce myself earlier. Sorry for that. I'm the MD of CBS International, of one of the MDs of CBS International Business School. And if I understood you correctly, the question is about the assessment of potential students, what kind of different dimensions we kind of look into that. That's a very, very good question, because if I may just comment before I answer that question on something, maybe it's a little bit like playing the devil's advocate. Is dual studies for everyone? The answer is no. It's not for everyone. It's not for every potential student. It's not for every potential company. We have to find a match, so to say. Yeah, and most of our assessment actually is about, because we have full-time studies too, and everything else, so to say, is to find the right people for the dual studies program and the right companies to match them with. Why is it not for everyone? Because, I mean, we talked about benefits all the time, and it looks like the answer to every dream we have as an employer, as an employee, and everything else. But it's a very hard program. Just to put it, you mentioned there are just 18 months of studies within a 3-year program. Yeah? This is not the case with a dual program, because you have 18 plus 18. Yeah? So it's extremely demanding on the ones that we are selecting to actually studying dual studies. So you have to find the people with the right mindset in the first place. Yeah? So they have to be, if I may say so, kind of more mature as their colleagues at the entry stage. Yeah? They have to have the certain personality traits, yeah, and this is what we are testing for. Yeah? So will they have the possibility to go into these students? And this is, of course, then also the risk into going there. With our institution, we have the opportunity, if someone drops out after dual studies program, we could integrate them into some of our other programs. Yeah? So in that sense, there's not that much of a risk for the students, so to say. Yeah? So putting it, due to your question, the most important part of the assessment is actually, is someone really into it for these next 3 years? Because they will get a lot out of it. Basically, they start, as we heard from the city of Cape Town, which I found very interesting, they start from the first day with academic and practical experience. They start from the first day with mentoring. Yeah, they start from the first day being in the company and so on. But it's like double workload. Yeah? So in that sense, it's the most important thing, figuring out for whom these studies are. So in that sense, it's more about the personality traits. Yeah? I could go much into detail concerning that, yeah, but I don't want to take all the time. Yeah? Thank you.
Thank you, Uwe. And there was one question next to you.
From the pie chart that you showed us of who participates, there's a quite a big uptake from engineering. I'm just thinking about, in our case, our engineering is more ruled by professional bodies who sort of tell us what to do. Are yours regulated by professional bodies? And if they are, what's the relationship? What is the collaboration with them, with what they want from a graduate from programs like engineering, and what the project offers?
Again, a very good question. Let me put it this way. Germany is known to be the country with the most regulations worldwide, or something like that. So like 80% of what has been written about taxes is written in German, yeah, in the whole world. Yeah? So in that sense, we are extremely regulated. Yeah? So we are constantly talking to the government bodies and everyone else. Yeah? Nevertheless, it's not a problem in the sense that we cannot get along, but you have to continuously basically talk to the government bodies, yeah? And we are doing so. We have to do a lot of quality management, yeah, a lot of reporting. We basically have to show that we are doing at least as well as public universities in what we are doing. At least, let me put it this way. Yeah, we have to show them the resources, everything that is going on there. Yeah, but it also helps us. Well, it helps us also to maintain a specific standard. And engineering, well, there are great engineering schools in Germany. Yeah, so in that sense, we have to find our niche. We are not the biggest engineering school, but it is growing. Yeah? But it's a constant dialogue. It just works that way.
Yeah. Let me also add one comment to that slide. It's a little bit misleading in the German context, because in Germany we have also a lot of interdisciplinary programs, which you cannot say it's an engineering or a business and management program. We at CBS, for example, we have a program which is business and engineering. So just to complete that.
Yeah. Following Uwe's contribution, it's all the dual study programs in Germany are fully accredited. They must be fully accredited as the standard programs as well. So there's no difference between all the academic stuff.
Yeah.
So the company is an additional benefit for the students.
Yeah, maybe the also a big difference on the accreditation side between dual and non-dual programs is that also the part in the company or in the employer is also part of the accreditation, and it's also accredited. Yeah, you will also get credit points for your time in the company. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. Any other questions? My list here. Can you add a little bit more to the target groups? You mentioned sometimes that also public administration, public authorities are targeted, not only the industry or companies, but also I guess it's okay for the...
Yeah. Yeah. Well, actually, it's the dual programs or the dual system is not limited to any branch. Yeah. We have a huge public sector engaged in dual study programs at the same time, but most know also in other countries reading something about the German dual system, they always think about the industry. But unfortunately, I don't have figures right now, but I'm pretty sure that the number also of students engaged, students coming from the public sector, this is certainly also a very high number. Yeah, we even have a university only for the public sector, a dual university for the public sector in Germany, just to give you an example. So you cannot just say it's only something for an engineering company or something like that.
We have dual academy for the banking branch and so on.
Yeah.
It's a broad